Welcome, welcome everyone. Thomas Montgomery, and it's almost 8 o'clock Central on Friday, April 10th. Happy Good Friday to you. I know that there's no place else I'd rather be right now than right here with you talking about this important topic. There was a little bit of leakage yesterday, but we're officially rolling out today the new workforce grant that we received, and we're going to talk about how that might benefit you, rather be individually, and or how you can generate income as one of our distribution partners because of this grant. So we're going to start by referencing the email that was sent out this morning, and then we'll dig a little deeper thereafter. So background, we've offered a certification training for quite some time. It has historically cost $1,000, $999, to become certified. And it required travel. It required you to fly into our office. We used to be in Tyler, and now we're in Mineola. And we spent a day together. And so, of course, right now we can't do in-person trainings because of the travel restrictions and then the gathering restrictions. We're a locked door business, so all of our staff is here today, or will be coming in this morning. And we're open for business, but we're not allowed to have clients or customers in. So with that being said, we've received many requests for, hey, let's get this training arranged in a virtual environment. As many of you know, I used to be a college professor, and I taught, full-time college professor, taught both online and in-person classes. And I'll tell you, I always enjoyed the in-person more than online. But due to the current circumstances, there's just no option. We needed to offer an online virtual curriculum. So we decided to do more than just offer the curriculum online. We applied for and received a workforce grant that allows us to do the certification training whereby the participant does not have to pay anything. They don't have to pay $999 or any portion of that. Certainly the training is honed in on training branch managers, but I would suggest that any of you, regardless of your role with us, whether you're a joint venture partner, branch manager, small business affiliate, or business financial literacy advisor, I think you would benefit from the training. And we're to go through the training modules in a second. The training modules have been recorded via Zoom through the daily calls we've done. So it's not all the daily calls, it's a specific subset to reflect what we normally would cover in the in-person class. By becoming certified, it offers numerous benefits, including allowing you to be more actively involved as a trainer. The way that the workforce grant is set up, and it's a little complicated, but we'll go through it, is that not only do you get not only does the participant get the certification training for free, which again is a $1,000 grant, but also they earn $4,990 by going through it. And I'll explain exactly what that means here in a minute. But that's a good deal, right? So the training, instead of being fee-based, is free, and they also make about $5,000 by going through it. So that not only reduces an expense, it also adds an income stream. But I'll go through the details of how that works here in a minute. So on the screen here, you see the invitation to today's call, or Zoom, but we're obviously beyond that. We're on it right now. Shows you where the training is available on the branch page of our website, which we're going to navigate to here in a minute, and reminds you that Jennifer, as our education coordinator, she is your resource, your point of contact. At this point, we have received the grant allocation for 1,000 people. And that sounds like, oh, that's a lot of people. Well, you got to remember, we have, and I don't know the exact number, probably close to 4,000 small business affiliates right now, and a distribution list that's a lot larger than that. So I think the 1,000 will fill up quickly, but it's available. And keep in mind that of the revenue that's generated out, the $49.90, by going through the certification curriculum, that obviously provides enough for someone to become a branch manager if they want. And they're not required to. So they get the $49.90, the $5,000, and if they want to turn around and use $2,500 of that as their branch deposit, they're welcome to, but they're not coerced into doing that. It's purely optional. So, oh, and then the last point was here. If you know of others, the intent here, originally when the grant was written up, it was written for the 50 U.S. counties that are predicted to have the most dramatic economic impact from the pandemic. And there was a formula used based upon current infection rate, looked at the industry mix of each county and how dependent upon each county is on the service industry that's more susceptible. So take Vegas, Las Vegas. I think that's Henderson County, Nevada, if I remember. You've got about 300,000 people that have lost or will likely lose their jobs, or at least for a period of time, because of the restaurants and casinos and the entertainment industry being so impacted. So when the grant was actually written originally, it was for those top 50 counties. However, Clark County, thank you, Roger. But then that was released to say that's too difficult to track it by county, because then is it by county that the person lives in or used to live in or works in or what have you, or used to work in. So now it's open anywhere. So that's the introductory content. So what we're going to do now is we're going to navigate over to where the training is, the certification training. So stand by here a second. Let me get us over to that page. And then we'll dig a little deeper. And just as I thought I had it bookmarked, but here we go. Share the screen. Okay, so on our website, innovativecapitalstrategies.org, there's a page called Branch, and it's not on the menu bar, but it's not like password protected or necessarily hidden. It's just not on the menu bar. And maybe that'll change, I don't know. But with the Branch, the training is listed here at the bottom, and it's labeled now Branch Manager Certification Training, but you do not have to be a branch manager to go through the training, and you don't have to become a branch manager after you've gone through the training. But let's pull it up. Now, again, the topics that we've been training on here at our office on Fridays, we have over time addressed via the daily Zoom. So you might say, hey, I've already gone through all of this, but there's a few more steps you need to go through, none of which require you paying anything. But the point is, if you've been diligent in going through the training that we do on Zoom, frankly, you may have already completed the curriculum and you could proceed very quickly. All right, so when we did the in-person Friday trainings, we'd normally start at 9, end around 5, have a couple breaks, of course. We'd go to lunch on us, and we would even be teaching during lunch. So here now you get to do it from the comfort of your home or office, and the topics include how to onboard a client properly, an overview, a deep dive into the Capital Ready program, the economic modeling. And again, if you're not going to be a branch manager, the economic modeling is a little different for a JV partner or an affiliate, but this is, we needed to pick one of the roles to do the economic modeling off, but you could easily translate it into other roles if that's what you're going to do. A real important topic of how to create verifiable income for clients legally and ethically and effectively. A deeper dive into some of the most popular sources of capital that we help clients with, how to do a needs analysis with the client so they really feel like that they're heard and they're understood, and it's much more of a higher touch approach. The comp plan breakdown, which is a whole separate formal PowerPoint. The joint venture model, which is something that you could be a joint venture partner, or I think you'd always want to be out there looking for potential joint venture partners, churches, and you might say, well, isn't that the affinity? The affinity is good, but we started to hear from, and we still offer the affinity program, but a lot of affinity prospects really want more control, more transparency and more income, especially in today's economic times. So the joint venture model tends to be the most popular versus the straight affinity. And then the bottom is just a reminder of the daily calls. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that matches pretty much what we had gone through in the in-person training. Now you can go through it, frankly, in any order that you want, at whatever pace that you want. Once you have completed those 8 modules, there's going to be a learning assessment that frankly has 2 components to it, because we want to make sure that you've learned the information. And we've learned that sometimes people would come to the Friday trainings and it was kind of a pass fail. Well, come to the Friday training and by the time you complete it, you should be set. But in retrospect, we've seen some people didn't take notes, didn't pay attention, and we weren't diligent enough in measuring learning outcomes. So now we are. So there will be a test is the point. Now with the test, there's also a practicum. So two things happen after you complete the training. So once you've completed the 8 modules, you let Jennifer know. And again, you don't have to pay anything, no cost now or ever. And so you let Jennifer know, and then she's going to help you set up the practicum. So you apply what you've learned. And then also, well, once you've finished the practicum, which can be done in just a couple of days, so the application part, then we'll actually have the written assessment. At that point, you are certified. And so you'll be able to go through the certification again with no cost, and you'll receive $4,990. To understand where the $4,990 comes from is understanding the practicum. So we need to be action oriented. So it's not let's just learn the theories, let's go apply it. So what Jennifer is going to do is make sure that you're able to do this at least 10 times. So in other words, that you're able and proficient enough to explain the proposition to a prospective small business owner, the Capital Ready program, and that you know how to onboard them properly, which if you go through this training, I'm confident that you'll be very, very effective at it. So go through the curriculum, the 8 modules, which you can do without telling us or anything else, just get started. But the sooner you check in with Jennifer, the sooner that you're confirmed as one of the 1,000. Then after you've completed those 8, then Jennifer is going to give you your practicum assignment. Once you complete that, then you'll be able to take the written test, which is online, of course. And then once you've completed the online test, then you're certified. Well, what does it get you? Why would you want to be certified? Well, number one, knowledge. You're going to be proficient in this space, which is good. So you can help clients more effectively and more efficiently and more accurately. You're going to make more money in whatever role that you're in. You'll receive the certification document, letter. And then also you'll be able to be one of our trainers, which a lot of you like to do. Granted, at this moment in time, not a whole lot of in-person training going on. It's more Zoom based, but this too shall pass, right? So we'll be back to doing workshops here shortly, probably this summer. And those are extraordinary, getting in front of small groups, churches, chambers, co-working spaces, and talking about access to capital. It's always been a well-received topic, but now when you look at today's economic circumstances, there's going to be a whole lot more people interested in learning how to access capital. So that is what we have. So we have the certification training used to be $1,000. Now the workforce grant covers it. It's free. Here's the access to it. Check in with Jennifer as soon as you can. That'll reserve one of your spots. Once you have finished the training, then she's going to help you do the practicum, which is you have to demonstrate knowledge and be able to explain the proposition to a client and onboard at least 10 clients. Once you've done that, then you'll have the $4,990 and be eligible for taking the test. Once you pass the test, which is online, then you'll be certified. That was a lot of information. Okay, so what we're going to do is get over to your questions now. Tracy says, wonderful. She's signing up for training. Very good. And again, we're trying to be transparent to the nth degree. So you might have someone that is, underemployed or unemployed. They're looking for a new skill set to be able to maybe branch in a different direction with their career or just simply earn extra income. And they might be a good prospect to be a branch manager. And you make $5,000 for every branch manager you bring us. But now you could just essentially say, hey, why don't you go through this free training curriculum first and confirm that it's a good fit, right? What more could we do than literally train them before we even ask them to sign a branch manager agreement, before they even are asked to pay a deposit? And if they go through this free certification curriculum, they'll have the funds to put towards a deposit with no out-of-pocket cost, if they choose to. So anyway, thank you, Tracy. Carl asks, so a person can qualify for the $4,990 grant and still receive. Oh, yes. Yeah, thank you, Carl. And I didn't make that clear enough. So if someone becomes a branch manager, well, I should say when someone becomes a branch manager, and let's go back a page to see this. So we'll go back. So on the branch page, and I'm still getting to Carl's question, the branch license agreement template is here. Now, what happens is once they submit their deposit, then we send this to them via DocuSign, so it's specific to them. And people always look at that date and say, isn't that date an old date? Well, we're running off of a 10-year grant, so all the branches start November 2019 and then end October 31st, 2029. But anyway, so this is the template. So they understand, oh, this is what what the branch manager agreement looks like. And of course, we will customize it to be specific to them, including the zip codes that they're going to have exclusivity for. So all of this will finance the license fee. So getting back to the question Carl had, yes, they would still qualify for the $25,000 working capital. Yes, sir. Roger's clarifying, so just send an email to Jennifer to get registered for the training. So let me go back to the page we were on. That wasn't it. This was it. So the point here is, frankly, you can go through the training. I mean, we've made it very visible. It's not like you have to contact us and then get access to the training. The training's here, Roger, without doing anything. But yes, we would recommend that you send an email to Jennifer and let her know your intention to go through the certification, that you want to take advantage of the workforce grant, because by doing so, then we'll save one of the spots for you, and you'll be able to get the back end benefit versus just the free front end training. Gus asked, does a BFLA qualify to join? Absolutely. I mean, anyone can go through this, Gus. There's no strings attached. Perry asked, oh, okay, yeah, so on the 10, you're actually onboarding real clients. It's not just practice. You're actually onboarding real clients. Thank you, Perry, for asking that. Kevin asked, do we have to train 10 people to be certified? I'm not sure exactly what you mean with the verb train, but I'll answer both ways. So no, you don't have to go out and train anyone. You actually wouldn't be training people until you're certified. However, the practicum is onboarding 10 people. So hopefully I answered that either way you could have intended it. Cheryl asks, so do we need to use the page on the Capital Ready page website to register and then just proceed to complete the modules? Well, and maybe I'm missing your point, Cheryl, but no, the modules are right here, and I showed you where they're parked on the branch page of the website down here at the bottom. So you can access this, frankly, anytime you want. You just need to let Jennifer know if you can, if you want one of those slots. Thank you, Cheryl. And John, I think I'm answering your question. I just answered your question. Gus is asking about switching from the BFLA to the branch. So no, those are two separate parallel roles, right? Branch managers are active in their local communities. You know, it used to be based on a brick and mortar office, but we've relaxed that. They have geographic exclusivity. Once the economy gets back to normal, we're going to be actively teaching, working with host and affinity partners in the community, where BFL and the branch managers are focused on the Capital Ready program. In contrast, the BFLAs are more national in scope, and they only offer the no upfront cost programs, the Fast Track and the TCR Express. So no, you wouldn't transfer from the BFLA to become a branch manager, but you certainly could do both if you desired to. Sorry, some of the questions are duplicative of what I've already answered. It's my fault, not yours, if I wasn't clear enough to begin with. Tracy asked, do you get paid for referrals at any position? Well, I want to answer that carefully. So, yes, anyone can refer in a branch manager, and you will receive $5,000 for referring in a branch manager. Anyone can do that. You don't have to also be a branch manager, for example. Anyone can refer in a branch manager. And that has become even easier to do now, because if you have someone that you think might be good as a branch manager, again, you say, hey, why don't you go through this training first, which is free and on demand, and that'll put almost $5,000 in their pocket by going through that curriculum and finishing through the grant requirements and doing the practicum of 10. And then they can make a decision at that point if they want to go ahead and buy a branch or not. The downside, though, is the sooner that you decide to put your initial deposit on a branch, the sooner the zip codes are saved, and of course the geographic area is reserved. Just because you start this process until the actual DocuSign for the branch is completed, your area is not held, and that can be a disadvantage because you might not have the geographic area that you wanted to work in. And I have information on those 50 counties that are the hottest. Well, I shouldn't even say that. That's poor labeling. The 50 counties that have been identified, I think it was by the CDC, that are the most susceptible to economic collapse almost due to the pandemic. And as I mentioned earlier, that's a function of the predicted infection rate, the industry mix, and a few other variables. But not that we couldn't help people everywhere. Okay, so let's see here. Perry asked a good question. If you already have people in the pipeline, yes, they would count. So if you've already been onboarding clients, then that would count. The intention, though, is to, well, let me be careful about that. I'll have to check with Jennifer before I answer that confidently, because Jennifer triggers the practicum, I believe, after you say that you finish these 8 modules. Now, frankly, you could fudge it and she wouldn't know, because we're not tracking if you finish these 8 or not. So I guess the answer would be yes. The intention, though, is to complete these 8 modules, which you could knock out in less than a day, and then the clicker starts. Hey, Stephen. We need to make sure that you're getting with the right person. So if you're an affiliate, Charlotte is your branch manager. I'm sorry, your contact person. If you're a branch manager, it is Jennifer. If you're a BFLA, it's Aristotle. I'm the funding manager here, so most of my day is spent getting clients funded, which is a good thing. And Barry asked, yeah, so you're right, Barry. So if you've already submitted, you've already onboarded 10, and you go through this curriculum, then yes, we could count that and then go right into the assessment. Yes. All right, so Robin says, so the practicum entails you enrolling 10 clients to get the four. Yeah. So it's one and the same, right? You know that when you onboard a Capital Ready client, you make $4.99 a piece. So obviously, if you do that 10 times, what happens? You make $4,990. That's right. You got the math right. All right, got several questions that are redundant. My fault, not yours. So just skimming through these. Nanette asked about switching roles. So yeah, definitely and that's what this is all about in terms of finding the right role for you. I used to be a public school teacher, right? I think you all know that. So I taught at a high school level, accounting, economics, computer programming, accounting 1 and 2, I should say. And what else? Microsoft Office. It was called BIM, Business Information Management, but it was PowerPoint, Access, Excel, and Word. And so, think about in a school, there are different roles. There's the teacher, which I'm still a certified teacher. There's administration, which would include the principal and vice principal or vice principals. There's the superintendent's office and that staff. And of course, there's all those marvelous support people from custodians to cafeteria workers and so forth. And then of course, there's coaches that are often teachers. What's the point? Well, there's different roles in a school system. So you have to make a decision, what role do I want to be in? Well, the analogy to us is we have really 4 roles: joint venture partner, branch manager, small business affiliates, and business financial literacy advisors. You need to decide which role you want to be in and then make sure that you're trained and competent in that role. If you choose, Nanette, to switch roles because you realize the role you're in is not best suited for you, then that's fine. Then we just need to do the documentation to switch it. All right, Mr. Davenport, thank you. And so he texted me in all caps and wants to know more now. So Mr. Davenport, respectfully, I would say, can you between now and Monday go through this curriculum? Because if you go through, if anyone, you, Mr. Davenport, or anyone else goes through this curriculum, then when we talk on Monday, we're ready to roll up our sleeves and get down to work. If you don't have this base of knowledge, then we'll probably be less effective and less efficient, which isn't good for you, us, nor the client. So Mr. Davenport, I'd love to add you to our 100 Club. And the 100 Club are all those that have a monthly goal of at least 100 conversions. And from what I understand about you, I don't think that'd be a problem. But let's get you trained and then get back together. And again, anyone that wants to be in the 100 Club, you're welcome. There's no cost. It's just a recognition of the subset of you that are committed to having at least 100 Capital Ready conversions a month. And some of you do that on a monthly basis. Some of you don't. And it's up to you. We'll do all we can to train and support you. Let's see, where do we go on the site to contact Jennifer? And again, right up here is how you reach Jennifer. There's her email there at the top. Thank you for that, Bruce, or that question, Bruce. Yeah. So if you came on as a branch manager before, when the license fee was $100,000 before we got the grant allocation to reduce it from 100 to 50, then just let Jennifer know, and we'll reissue you a new branch manager agreement, no cost, and we'll lower that branch license fee, cut it in half, and add in the $25,000 of working capital. So that's easily done. Just let Jennifer know. Daniel, yes, you'll be paid for those 10. Lupe asked a good question, and I didn't address it really at all here. So as a branch manager, you can help individuals anywhere in the country. And I'll give you an example, and maybe this is helpful or not. Before the whole travel hiatus and gathering of people, I was out teaching workshops on a regular basis, and I did that for the SBA up until July 5th of last year, and have done it for ICS since then. And so I was asked by an EDC, an Economic Development Corporation. Pretty much every city and town has an EDC that's usually tax supported, So I had an EDC that asked me to come in and teach access to capital on a monthly basis. Every month we did it. I think it was like the third Monday of the month or something. I don't remember exactly. But anyway, I was doing one, and it was last year, not this calendar year. And we had a couple that came in from Dallas, Fort Worth. And you probably don't know where we are from Adam, but the point is we're about 2 hours away from Dallas. But yeah, people will travel to your workshops once you can have workshops again, or come to your webinars from anywhere in the nation, and you get credit. The key is with the geographic areas, what you want to do is make sure that any strategic partners that you're developing, any physical workshops that you're holding, once we can do that again, are in your zips, but you can help people from anywhere in the country. Thank you, Lupin. And I did a workshop. Frankly, it was still when I was with the SBA. I did it in Tyler at a big co-working space called Work Hub. And I had a gentleman come in from Houston, Texas, specifically to hear access to capital. And that's a good 3.5 hour drive. So this topic is good enough. You can draw a big crowd, and you can draw a crowd from quite the distance, especially if there's not that curriculum available elsewhere. But I would definitely recommend becoming a branch manager. Pick your 4 zip codes and lock that in. Then no one else will be targeting the strategic partners, chambers, churches, so forth in your geographic area. No one else can teach the workshops there once all this opens up again. Charles is asking for Jennifer's email address, and I must not be sharing this page properly. So let me share it again. I'm not a Zoom expert, so maybe I wasn't sharing it, but right there at the top, you can see her email, education coordinator at innovativecapitalstrategies.com. Yeah, Tracy's asking about opening multiple branches, and we kind of talked about this. I think it was even yesterday. I gave you the side story that my neighbor owns a bunch of Sonic franchises, and it's not unusual for people to get a model open, demonstrate proficiency, and then replicate it, because you're obviously able to help more clients with more distribution points, and you generate more income, and you can hire subordinates to do the work. My neighbor doesn't work as a car hop over here at the Sonic, which I can see out my window of my office, but they certainly own it. So they keep the profits, but they don't do the work. So Tracy, you could keep the profits from as many different branches as you'd like. Now, our corporate counsel drew the branch license agreement where it states you can't have more than 20, and we don't have any branch owners that have more than 20. If you got to that point, we could address it, but the short answer to your question is yes, you can have multiple branches. And it makes sense, right? So if you're in Denver, Colorado, which is predicted to be one of the hardest hit regions in the nation because of the combination of dependence on tourism and the infection rate and so forth, that you might not want to have just 4 zips in Denver. You might want to control the whole Denver market. And of course, that would be multiple branches. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, Shamus is asking about those top 50 counties, and yes, I will pull that up and disseminate that. Yeah, George, you're in one of those. Yeah, being in South Louisiana, that's one of the top 50. So this is a great way for you to, well, I shouldn't say, I don't know your circumstances, but in general, this would be a great way to spend some time when you're in the shutdown, get certified, get some extra income coming in, and then at whatever time you decided, maybe open a branch in South Louisiana or not, but you could still, regardless, go through the training, put an extra $5,000 in your pocket. Let's see, Gary's asking, now I won't repeat that because it's going to confuse people. So when you enroll someone in the Capital Ready program, as we've covered on other training calls, and you'll find in the midst here, as you go through the certification, you make $4.99. You collect $4.99 from each client that enrolls in the Capital Ready program. Joseph's asking, how long does it take? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, Joseph. I didn't mean to say that you had to have all these done by Monday. Each of these is about an hour long, and then you'll do the practicum, and then we'll do the assessment. But there's not a specific time limit. What I was expressing urgency is get with Jennifer and put your name in the hat for one of the 1,000 slots was what I was encouraging you to do. Sorry about that. Yeah, and you'll see the credibility. Thelma's asking about, you'll see on, well, I'm not always sure if the share follows or not, so I'm going to turn it off, switch over, turn it back on, and make sure you're seeing what I'm trying to show you. Otherwise, I'm wondering if you see it or not. So our website, we go to the credibility page, and that's what Thelma's asking about. Thank you, Thelma. Bill asked a good question, and you're right. Bill asked, why should a branch be for 4 zip codes? Well, again, look at State Farm and Edward Jones. Both of those are different industries, but analogous enough that that's how we built the branch model out. We want to have local access in communities across the country. So if we said, well, you get 100 zip codes, how convenient is that? And remember, the 3 of us that co-founded this all came from the SBA, from SBDC specifically. And we saw how that system is broken. The SBDC that I was an advisor for serviced a 7-county area. I'd frankly be lying to you to tell you how many counties, or I'm sorry, how many zips was included in that. I don't know. We never counted by zips, but 7 counties. And that geographic spread made us inaccessible. People that lived in the outlying areas often never even heard of us because it was too far away. They didn't want to come to us and we didn't want to go to them. So that's the concept, Bill, is to have local representation in communities across the country. Is 4 zip codes the right number? I don't know, maybe it's more, maybe it's less, but that's how the model is built. I can tell you here in Mineola, where our offices are, which is just a humble, normal, small town. Some point I'll tell you why we're here. People often ask, why are you in Mineola? I'll tell you that in another call. But in Mineola has 1 zip code, 75773. I believe that there are 4 Edward Jones offices in 1 zip code. So, and of course, they're working with higher net worth people that have disposable income to invest. You flip that around and say, okay, we're branches. We're working with people that often are still needing to accumulate wealth and access capital, but you're getting 4 zip codes, which is the inverse of that with Edward Jones. They have 4 offices in 1 zip code. So I think it makes sense. We could debate it, but that's the way it was developed. Let's see, we're running a little long here. Let me see if there's any other questions that we should go through. Yeah, Stephen, good question. So again, as a branch manager, you can help clients anywhere in the nation, but you can't go target key influencers unless they're in your geographic area, and you can't have in-person workshops, which I know seems irrelevant now, but it'll become relevant again here soon. James asking about the payback. So again, the branch license fee used to be $100,000. The grant covers half of that. Plus it gives you $25,000 of working capital. We set up third-party financing for the branch, and depending upon your qualifications and your circumstance, we'll determine which third-party lender picks it up and what the exact terms are. We're not the lender. It's not internally financed. Sorry if that was confusing. And so the net is you're paying $25,000 for a 10-year branch. You're making $5,000 on average per client. If over 10 years you help 5 clients, you've broken even. I like the odds of that. And again, we need to be working together to help at least 20 clients a month. So the bottom line is you break even after the first month. Thank you, James. Bill brings up a good question. So if a prospective branch manager lives in a rural area, the 4 zip codes may not provide enough opportunity. Now that's possible. I mean, we're in Wood County, Texas, which is certainly rural, as every official designation would have it. And one branch manager couldn't keep up with our county, and it's not an economic distress more than any other. But you may not want to have a branch where you live. I mean, that may seem natural. Yeah, I want to have a branch where I live, but it may be, we need branches in Los Angeles, California, where there's millions and millions of people. There's a freaking economic collapse in the Northeast. We need 100 branches up there right away where there's immediate need. So yeah, you have to make your own decision. Just like if you were to, just do the Sonic example. If you were to open a Sonic, you would decide, where do you want to put your Sonic? Is the area that you live in too remote or not a good fit for a Sonic? Well, then you don't open a Sonic, or you open a Sonic somewhere else. But I appreciate your point, Bill. Bill asked a good question. So, what am I financing to become a branch manager? Well, other than the $2,500 deposit, which is paid for you by going through the certification workforce grant we've been discussing, you don't have anything out of pocket. The branch license fee is $50,000 now instead of $100,000, and it does include $25,000 coming back to you. So I guess hypothetically, if you wanted to forego the working capital, you could pay just $25,000. Most of our branches pay the full amount and then get the $25,000 back. But if you wanted to shortcut that, you certainly could. All right. Well, happy Good Friday. Thank you for your time together. We certainly encourage you to go through the training, get certified, put an extra $5,000 in your pocket, hopefully next week, and have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.